On a quiet Sunday afternoon, the sun hung low in the sky, casting long golden shadows over the winding country road. The air was warm, carrying with it the faint scent of wildflowers that grew along the roadside. Birds chirped lazily in the distance, and the occasional breeze rustled through the tall trees lining the narrow lane. It seemed like an ordinary day for most people passing by, but for Evelyn Harper, this particular stretch of road would become unforgettable. Evelyn sat behind the wheel of her sleek black luxury car, gripping it tightly as she stared at the flat tire with growing frustration. Her perfectly manicured nails tapped impatiently against the steering wheel, while her mind raced to figure out what to do next. She had been driving home after attending a high-profile business meeting when she heard the unmistakable thud-thud-thud of a deflating tire. At first, she thought it might just be debris on the road, but a quick glance in the rearview mirror confirmed her worst fears. The back left tire was completely flat. Despite being one of the youngest self-made millionaires in the city, Evelyn had never learned how to change a tire. Growing up privileged, such tasks had always been handled by others, her chauffeur, her assistant, or even roadside service teams. But today, there was no one around to help. She had tried calling for assistance earlier, only to be told there would be a 2-hour wait due to heavy call volumes. 2 hours felt like an eternity under the scorching sun, especially dressed in her tailored blazer and pencil skirt. Frustrated and slightly embarrassed by her predicament, Evelyn stepped out of the car and leaned against its glossy surface, wondering if anyone would happen to drive by soon. As she stood there, shading her eyes from the glare of the sun, she noticed movement in the distance. A young boy was pedaling toward her on a battered old bicycle. His clothes were simple, a faded t-shirt and worn jeans, but his face carried an expression of curiosity and determination. As he drew closer, Evelyn couldn't help but notice the contrast between them. While she exuded wealth and sophistication, the boy radiated a kind of raw authenticity that felt almost refreshing. He slowed down as he approached her stranded vehicle, his dark brown eyes scanning the scene before stopping on her. "Hey," he called out, his voice steady and friendly. "Looks like you're having some trouble." Evelyn hesitated for a moment, unsure whether to trust a stranger, especially someone so young. Yet something about his tone reassured her. There was no malice in his words, only genuine concern. "Yeah," she admitted reluctantly, gesturing toward the flat tire. "I don't know much about cars. I've already called for help, but they said it'll take a while." The boy nodded thoughtfully, swinging his leg over the bike frame to dismount. Up close, Evelyn could see he wasn't very old, perhaps 16 or 17 at most. Despite his youth, there was a maturity in his demeanor that made him seem older somehow. "I can help you fix it," he offered without hesitation. "I've changed plenty of tires before. My grandma's car breaks down all the time, so I've gotten pretty good at it." For a brief second, Evelyn considered declining his offer. After all, accepting help from a teenager felt somewhat awkward, especially given their vastly different worlds. But then again, what choice did she have? Standing here waiting wasn't solving anything, and she doubted another passerby would come along anytime soon. Finally, she nodded. "All right," she said, stepping aside. "Thank you." The boy smiled brightly, clearly pleased to be of assistance. He introduced himself as Marcus as he rolled up his sleeves and got to work. Pulling open the trunk of Evelyn's car, he retrieved the spare tire and jack with surprising ease. Watching him move with confidence, Evelyn realized he knew exactly what he was doing. First, he loosened the lug nuts using the wrench, making sure not to remove them entirely until the car was elevated. Then, with practiced precision, he positioned the jack beneath the vehicle and began cranking it upward. Each movement was deliberate and efficient, a testament to his experience. While Marcus worked, Evelyn found herself studying him more closely. His hands were calloused, evidence of hard labor, yet they moved with remarkable care. His athletic build suggested he spent a lot of time outdoors, and his short-cropped hair framed a face full of youthful energy. Despite his humble appearance, there was an undeniable charm about him, a quiet strength that intrigued her. Unable to resist, she struck up a conversation. "So, Marcus, is it?" she asked casually. What brings you out here? He glanced up briefly, flashing another one of those disarming smiles. Just riding my bike, he replied. I live nearby with my grandma. We've got a little garden, and I help her out whenever I can. How about you? What are you doing way out here? Evelyn chuckled softly, amused by his straightforwardness. Oh, I was heading back from a meeting, she explained vaguely, but apparently fate had other plans. Marcus laughed lightly, nodding in agreement. Encouraged by his easygoing nature, Evelyn continued talking, sharing bits and pieces about her life. To her surprise, Marcus listened intently, asking thoughtful questions that showed real interest. In turn, he shared stories about his own experiences, growing up in a small town, working odd jobs to support his grandmother, and dreaming of becoming an engineer someday. Their conversation flowed effortlessly, bridging the gap between their vastly different lives. For Evelyn, it was refreshing to talk to someone who didn't treat her differently because of her wealth or status. And for Marcus, interacting with someone like Evelyn opened up a world of possibilities he had only dreamed of. By the time he finished tightening the final lug nut and lowering the car back onto the ground, the sun had dipped lower in the sky, painting everything in soft hues of orange and pink. Standing up and wiping his hands on his jeans, Marcus gave her a satisfied grin. All done, he announced proudly. You should be good to go now. Evelyn couldn't believe how quickly he had worked, or how smoothly the entire process had gone. She felt a surge of gratitude mixed with admiration. Marcus, I can't thank you enough, she said sincerely. You saved me today. Is there anything I can do to repay you? To her surprise, Marcus shook his head firmly. No need, he insisted. Helping people is just something I like to do. Besides, it's not every day I get to meet someone like you. His words caught her off guard, though she couldn't quite explain why. Before she could respond, he added, But hey, if you really want to thank me, maybe we could grab coffee sometime. Or not. Whatever works. Evelyn laughed softly, charmed by his boldness. I think I'd like that, she replied warmly. Reaching into her purse, she pulled out a business card and handed it to him. Here, if you ever need anything at all, don't hesitate to reach out. I mean it. Marcus accepted the card with a nod, tucking it carefully into his pocket. Thanks, he said simply. And good luck with your meeting, or whatever it was. With that, he hopped back onto his bicycle and waved goodbye, disappearing down the road as quickly as he had arrived. Evelyn watched him go, feeling an unexpected sense of warmth spread through her chest. She climbed back into her car, turning, the key in the ignition. As the engine roared to life, she realized something profound had shifted within her. That chance encounter with Marcus had reminded her of values she had almost forgotten: kindness, humility, and the importance of human connection. Little did she know this was only the beginning of a journey that would change both their lives forever. Days turned into weeks, and life seemed to return to its usual rhythm for both Evelyn and Marcus. Evelyn went back to her bustling schedule of meetings, networking events, and late-night strategy sessions that had become the cornerstone of her success. Yet, despite her busy routine, she found herself thinking about the young boy who had helped her on that quiet country road. His name, Marcus, kept popping into her mind at unexpected moments, like when she was reviewing financial reports or sipping her morning coffee. There was something about his sincerity, his willingness to help without expecting anything in return, that lingered with her. It wasn't just his actions, but also the way he carried himself, with a quiet confidence and maturity far beyond his years, that intrigued her. For Marcus, life continued much as it always had. He spent his days juggling schoolwork, odd jobs around the neighborhood, and taking care of his grandmother, who had raised him since he was a child. Though money was tight, they managed to get by with love and determination. Marcus often dreamed of bigger things, a future where he could use his skills to build something meaningful, perhaps even create opportunities for others like him. But those dreams felt distant, almost unreachable given their circumstances. Still, he remained optimistic, believing that hard work would eventually pay off. Occasionally, he thought about Evelyn too. Her business card sat tucked away in his wallet, untouched but not forgotten. He wondered what kind of person she really was outside of that brief encounter. Was she truly as kind as she seemed, or was her gratitude just a fleeting gesture? One evening, as Marcus sat at the kitchen table, helping his grandmother sort through bills, reality hit hard. His grandmother, Margaret, had been feeling unwell for some time, but neither of them had paid much attention to it, assuming it was just fatigue from old age. That day, however, Margaret collapsed while trying to stand up from her chair. Panic surged through Marcus as he rushed to her side, his heart pounding in his chest. After calling an ambulance and spending hours in the emergency room, they received devastating news. Margaret needed surgery for a serious condition, and the medical expenses would be astronomical. The doctors assured them she would recover fully if treated promptly, but the cost was far beyond what they could afford. That night, lying awake in bed, Marcus stared at the ceiling, his mind racing with worry. He knew he couldn't let his grandmother down. She had sacrificed everything for him, working tirelessly to give him a better life. But no matter how many calculations he ran in his head, the numbers didn't add up. Borrowing from friends or neighbors wasn't an option. Everyone in their community was struggling in their own ways. Desperation clawed at him, making it hard to breathe. And then suddenly he remembered Evelyn's business card. At first, Marcus hesitated. Reaching out to someone like Evelyn felt strange, almost intrusive. What if she didn't take him seriously? What if she thought he was taking advantage of her kindness? But as the hours ticked by and the weight of the situation pressed heavier on his shoulders, he realized he had no other choice. Taking a deep breath, he pulled out his phone and sent her a text message. It was short and to the point, explaining who he was and why he was contacting her. He ended it with a simple plea. "I know this might sound crazy, but I really need your help." To Marcus's surprise, Evelyn responded almost immediately. Her reply was warm and empathetic, urging him to share more details about his situation. Over the next few minutes, they exchanged several messages, during which Marcus explained about his grandmother's illness and the overwhelming medical costs. Evelyn listened intently, asking thoughtful questions and offering words of encouragement. By the end of the conversation, she made him a promise. "Don't worry, Marcus, we'll figure this out together." True to her word, Evelyn sprang into action. Within hours, she arranged for Margaret to receive top-notch medical care at a hospital affiliated with her company. She covered all the upfront costs personally, ensuring that Marcus wouldn't have to navigate the complicated world of insurance, claims, or payment plans. When Marcus tried to express his gratitude, Evelyn simply smiled and said, "You helped me when I needed it. Now it's my turn to return the favor." But Evelyn didn't stop there. As she learned more about Marcus's life and aspirations, she began to see potential in him that others might have overlooked. She invited him to visit her office one Saturday afternoon, promising to show him what her company did and how it operated. At first, Marcus was hesitant, unsure of what to expect. Walking into a towering skyscraper filled with polished professionals felt intimidating, especially for someone like him who had never set foot in such a place before. But Evelyn greeted him warmly, putting him at ease right away. She gave him a tour of the building, introducing him to key members of her team and explaining the intricacies of running a successful business. Marcus soaked up every detail, fascinated by the blend of creativity and strategy that fueled innovation. During lunch, they sat together in a cozy corner of the cafeteria, talking about his dreams of becoming an engineer. Evelyn listened intently, nodding as he described his passion for problem-solving and designing solutions. When he admitted that college seemed impossible due to financial constraints, Evelyn leaned forward, her eyes lighting up with determination. "Listen, Marcus," she said firmly. "You have talent, drive, and ambition, things that can't be taught. Don't let money stand in your way. If you're willing to put in the effort, I'll make sure you get the education you deserve." Marcus blinked, stunned by her generosity. "You'd really do that?" he asked quietly, his voice tinged with disbelief. Evelyn nodded, her expression unwavering. Absolutely. Consider it an investment, not just in you, but in the future. Who knows? Maybe one day you'll change the world. Over the following months, Evelyn became more than just a benefactor to Marcus. She became a mentor and friend. She introduced him to influential figures in the tech industry, arranged internships for him to gain hands-on experience, and even helped him apply for scholarships. With her guidance, Marcus enrolled in a prestigious university, majoring in engineering. The transition wasn't easy. He often felt out of place among students who came from wealthy backgrounds, but Evelyn's constant support kept him grounded. Whenever doubt crept in, she reminded him of his strengths and encouraged him to keep pushing forward. Their bond deepened over time, evolving from gratitude to mutual respect and admiration. Evelyn admired Marcus's resilience and optimism, qualities that inspired her to reflect on her own journey. In turn, Marcus saw Evelyn not just as a successful entrepreneur, but as someone who genuinely cared about making a difference in people's lives. Their conversations grew longer and more personal, touching on topics ranging from family struggles to hopes for the future. Slowly but surely, something shifted between them, a spark of connection that neither could ignore. It wasn't long before their relationship transcended mentorship and blossomed into something deeper. Love crept in quietly, taking root in shared laughter, late-night talks, and moments of vulnerability. For Evelyn, Marcus represented a refreshing perspective, a reminder of the values she held dear but sometimes lost sight of in the whirlwind of corporate life. For Marcus, Evelyn embodied strength and compassion, proving that success didn't have to come at the expense of humanity. Together, they defied societal expectations, choosing to focus on what truly mattered: trust, understanding, and a shared vision for a brighter future. Years later, as Marcus graduated at the top of his class, Evelyn stood proudly in the audience, cheering louder than anyone else. Clad in his cap and gown, Marcus scanned the crowd until his eyes met hers. In that moment, they both knew their journey was far from over. It was only the beginning of something extraordinary. Through chance encounters, acts of kindness, and unwavering belief in each other, they had transformed two seemingly disparate lives into a story of hope, resilience, and love. The weeks following Evelyn's promise to support Marcus were a whirlwind of activity. True to her word, she didn't just stop at covering Margaret's medical expenses. She took it upon herself to ensure that Marcus had every opportunity to succeed. She began by arranging weekly tutoring sessions for him with top educators in subjects like mathematics and physics, areas crucial for his dream of becoming an engineer. At first, Marcus was hesitant, feeling out of place among professionals who spoke a language he barely understood. But Evelyn's encouragement never wavered. "You're smarter than you think, Marcus," she would say whenever self-doubt crept in. "Just give yourself time." Evelyn also introduced Marcus to influential figures in the tech industry, knowing that networking could open doors he hadn't even imagined existed. These meetings often happened over coffee or casual lunches, where Evelyn acted as both mentor and mediator. She made sure Marcus felt comfortable, guiding him through conversations about innovation, design thinking, and entrepreneurship. To everyone's surprise, including his own, Marcus thrived in these settings. He asked insightful questions, shared his ideas confidently, and impressed seasoned executives with his fresh perspective. It wasn't long before people started taking notice of the young man with big dreams and an even bigger heart. Despite all the progress, life wasn't without its challenges. Balancing schoolwork, part-time jobs, and caring for his grandmother proved exhausting for Marcus. There were nights when he stayed up late studying, only to wake up early the next morning to deliver newspapers or mow lawns around the neighborhood. Exhaustion became a constant companion, but Marcus refused to let it break him. Every time he wanted to give up, Evelyn was there, reminding him of why he started this journey in the first place. "Your grandma sacrificed so much for you," she told him one evening during a particularly tough week. "Now it's your turn to make her proud." Margaret, too, played a vital role in keeping Marcus motivated. Though still recovering from her surgery, She remained fiercely supportive of her grandson's ambitions. Sitting together on their porch some evenings, she'd recount stories of her own struggles and triumphs, teaching him valuable lessons about resilience and perseverance. "Life may knock you down," she'd say, her voice steady despite her frailty. "But it's not about how many times you fall, it's about how many times you get back up." Her words echoed in Marcus's mind, fueling his determination to push forward no matter what obstacles lay ahead. As months passed, Evelyn found herself growing increasingly attached to Marcus, not just as a mentee but as a person. Their interactions went beyond business advice and career planning. They delved into deeper, more personal topics. They talked about their families, their fears, and their hopes for the future. Evelyn learned about Marcus's childhood, the sacrifices his grandmother had made, the hardships they endured, and the joy they found in small victories. In turn, Marcus discovered facets of Evelyn's life that few people knew. Beneath her polished exterior was a woman who had fought tooth and nail to build her empire, often at great personal cost. She spoke candidly about the loneliness that came with success, the pressure to constantly prove herself, and the longing for genuine connection. Their bond deepened as they realized how much they complemented each other. Evelyn admired Marcus's authenticity, his ability to see beauty in simplicity, and his unwavering optimism. In contrast, Marcus respected Evelyn's intelligence, her strategic mindset, and her relentless drive to create opportunities for others. Together they formed a partnership built on mutual respect and admiration, one that transcended age, race, and social status. Strangers might have raised eyebrows at their relationship, but neither cared about societal judgment. What mattered most was the profound impact they had on each other's lives. One pivotal moment came during a charity gala hosted by Evelyn's company. The event brought together some of the city's most influential individuals, all gathered under one roof to raise funds for educational initiatives. Evelyn insisted that Marcus attend, knowing it would be an invaluable experience for him. Dressed in a borrowed suit that fit surprisingly well, Marcus walked into the grand ballroom feeling both nervous and excited. The room buzzed with conversation, glittering chandeliers casting soft light over elegantly dressed guests. For someone accustomed to riding bicycles and fixing cars, the scene felt almost surreal. Evelyn greeted him warmly, introducing him to several high-profile attendees. As the night wore on, Marcus found himself engaged in meaningful discussions about technology, education, and community development. One particular conversation stood out, a heated debate about the importance of STEM education in underserved communities. When Marcus chimed in, sharing his own experiences and insights, the entire table fell silent, captivated by his passion and eloquence. Even Evelyn watched with pride, realizing that Marcus had grown into a confident, articulate young man, capable of commanding attention in any room. After the gala, as they drove home together, Evelyn turned to Marcus with a thoughtful expression. "Do you know what tonight reminded me of?" she asked softly. Marcus shook his head, curious. "It reminded me of the day we met. You helped me with my flat tire, and now look at you, helping inspire change in ways I couldn't have imagined." Marcus smiled, touched by her words. "I wouldn't be here without you," he replied honestly. "You've given me so much more than I ever dreamed possible." Their connection continued to evolve, shifting subtly yet undeniably towards something deeper. It wasn't just gratitude or admiration anymore, it was love. Neither could pinpoint exactly when it happened, but somewhere along the way their hearts had intertwined. Evelyn loved Marcus's humility, his kindness, and the way he saw the world with such clarity and purpose. Marcus, in turn, loved Evelyn's strength, her generosity, and the way she believed in him unconditionally. Their differences no longer seemed like barriers. Instead, they enriched their relationship, creating a dynamic that was as unique as it was beautiful. Yet falling in love wasn't without its complications. Society had certain expectations, especially for someone like Evelyn, whose public image was carefully curated. Rumors began to circulate when people noticed how close they were, whispering behind closed doors about the millionaire CEO and the young boy from the wrong side of town. Some criticized their relationship, calling it inappropriate or misguided. Others dismissed it as nothing more than a fleeting fascination. But Evelyn and Marcus refused to let external opinions dictate their happiness. They knew what they shared was real, rooted in trust, respect, and a deep understanding of each other. To navigate these challenges, they leaned on each other more than ever. Evelyn taught Marcus how to handle criticism gracefully, emphasizing the importance of staying true to oneself. Marcus, meanwhile, reminded Evelyn to embrace vulnerability and prioritize relationships over appearances. Together, they learned to shield themselves from negativity while focusing on what truly mattered, building a future full of possibilities. That future began to take shape as Marcus prepared to graduate from high school. With Evelyn's guidance, he applied to several top universities, earning scholarships and grants that secured his place in prestigious engineering programs. On the day he received his acceptance letter, Marcus ran straight to Evelyn's office, bursting with excitement. "We did it," he exclaimed, waving the envelope in the air. Evelyn hugged him tightly, tears glistening in her eyes. "No, Marcus," she corrected gently. "You did it. I'm just lucky enough to be part of your journey." As graduation approached, Evelyn threw herself into organizing a celebration for Marcus. She rented a banquet hall, invited friends and family, and even arranged for Margaret to attend in a wheelchair. The ceremony itself was a blur of speeches, applause, and proud smiles. When it was Marcus's turn to speak, he took a deep breath and addressed the crowd. "I wouldn't be standing here today if it weren't for two incredible women," he began, his voice steady despite the lump in his throat. "My grandmother, who taught me the value of hard work and sacrifice, and Evelyn Harper, who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. Thank you both for everything." The audience erupted in cheers, but Evelyn sat quietly, overcome with emotion. Watching Marcus deliver his speech, she realized how far they had come since that fateful afternoon on the country road. From a chance encounter to a transformative partnership, their story was a testament to the power of kindness, resilience, and love. And though this chapter of their journey was ending, another was just beginning, one filled with endless potential and boundless hope. The months following Marcus's high school graduation were a whirlwind of preparation and anticipation. With college just around the corner, he threw himself into making the most of his summer, determined to soak up every moment before embarking on this new chapter of his life. Evelyn, too, was deeply involved in ensuring that Marcus had everything he needed for the transition. She helped him navigate the complexities of financial aid forms, housing applications, and course selections, always offering guidance without overshadowing his independence. Their partnership remained as strong as ever, though subtle shifts began to emerge in their dynamic. Evelyn found herself reflecting more often on the nature of her relationship with Marcus. What had started as gratitude and admiration had blossomed into something far deeper, an undeniable connection that neither could ignore. Yet she wrestled with doubts about whether their bond was appropriate given their age difference and vastly different backgrounds. Society already scrutinized her closely due to her status as a millionaire CEO, and adding a romantic element to her relationship with Marcus only invited further judgment. Late at night, when the city outside her penthouse window lay quiet, Evelyn would sit by herself sipping tea and wondering if she was doing the right thing. Marcus, on the other hand, didn't overthink things quite as much. To him, what he felt for Evelyn was simple and pure, love born out of shared experiences, mutual respect, and countless moments of genuine connection. He understood that people might not understand them, but he also knew that true love wasn't defined by societal norms. It was about finding someone who made you better, who inspired you to dream bigger and live fuller. Evelyn did all of that for him, and he couldn't imagine walking away from what they had built together. Their decision to take their relationship to the next level came naturally, almost organically. One evening, after a long day of packing, for college, Marcus stopped by Evelyn's apartment. They sat together on her balcony, watching the sunset paint the skyline in hues of orange and pink. The conversation flowed effortlessly, as it always did between them, until Marcus turned to her with a serious expression. "Evelyn," he said softly. I want you to know something. No matter where I go or what happens, you'll always be the person who changed my life. I don't know how to thank you for everything you've done. Evelyn smiled, touched by his words, but there was a flicker of sadness in her eyes. You don't owe me anything, Marcus, she replied. If anything, I should be thanking you for reminding me of what truly matters. There was a pause, the kind that lingers just long enough to make your heart skip a beat. Then, without thinking twice, Marcus reached out and took her hand in his. I love you, he said simply, his voice steady despite the weight of the confession. Evelyn froze for a moment, her breath catching in her throat. She looked into his eyes, searching for hesitation or uncertainty, but found none. All she saw was sincerity and love. Tears welled up in her eyes as she squeezed his hand gently. I love you too, Marcus, she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. In that moment, any lingering doubts or fears melted away. They weren't just mentor and mentee anymore. They were partners, two souls bound together by trust, admiration, and an unshakable belief in each other. That night marked the beginning of a new phase in their journey, one where their relationship would no longer remain hidden behind professional facades. Of course, navigating their newfound romance wasn't easy. As much as they tried to keep it private, whispers inevitably spread among friends, colleagues, and acquaintances. Some people were supportive, recognizing the depth of their connection and respecting their decision to be together. Others, however, were less understanding. Criticism ranged from snide remarks about their age gap to accusations that Evelyn was using her wealth to manipulate a young man. For Marcus, hearing such negativity stung, especially when it came from people he respected. But Evelyn stood firmly by his side, teaching him how to rise above the noise and focus on what truly mattered, their bond. One particularly challenging incident occurred during a charity event hosted by Evelyn's company. A journalist approached them during the cocktail hour, asking pointed questions about their relationship. Ms. Harper, the reporter began, pen poised above his notepad. There have been rumors circulating about your involvement with a younger man. Care to comment? The room fell silent, all eyes turning toward Evelyn and Marcus. For a split second, tension crackled in the air. But Evelyn, ever composed, met the journalist's gaze head-on. Yes, she said calmly, her tone leaving no room for argument. Marcus and I are together and we're very happy. Our relationship is based on mutual respect and love, and I hope that speaks louder than idle gossip. Her response earned murmurs of approval from some attendees, while others exchanged skeptical glances. Marcus, meanwhile, stood tall beside her, his presence unwavering. After the event, he thanked Evelyn for handling the situation so gracefully. You didn't have to defend us like that, he told her later that night. But I'm glad you did. Evelyn wrapped her arms around him, holding him close. We're in this together, Marcus, she said firmly. Always. Despite the challenges, their love continued to grow stronger with each passing day. College brought its own set of adjustments for Marcus, who now lived several hours away from Evelyn. Balancing coursework, part-time jobs, and maintaining their long-distance relationship required effort and commitment. Yet they made it work, scheduling regular video calls, exchanging heartfelt letters, and planning visits whenever possible. During weekends when Marcus returned home, they cherished every moment together, whether it was cooking dinner side by side or taking long walks through the park. Evelyn, too, adapted to the changes. While she missed having Marcus nearby, she found joy in supporting him from afar. She celebrated his academic achievements, cheered him on during tough exams, and offered advice when he faced setbacks. In return, Marcus kept her grounded, reminding her to slow down and appreciate the little things in life. Their conversations became a lifeline, a source of comfort and inspiration that sustained them through difficult times. As the years passed, Marcus thrived in his engineering program, earning accolades for his innovative projects and leadership skills. His professors praised his creativity and determination, qualities that Evelyn recognized as hallmarks of the young man she had fallen in love with. Meanwhile, Evelyn continued to excel in her career, expanding her company's reach and impact. Together they formed a powerhouse duo, combining their talents to create opportunities for underserved communities. They launched scholarships, funded STEM programs in low-income schools, and collaborated on initiatives aimed at bridging the gap between privilege and poverty. Through it all, their love remained the foundation of everything they did. It wasn't just about grand gestures or public declarations. It was about the quiet, everyday moments that made their relationship special. Like the time Evelyn surprised Marcus with tickets to a robotics conference he had been dying to attend, or the way Marcus left sticky notes with encouraging messages scattered around her office when she was stressed about a big project. These small acts of kindness reinforced the depth of their connection, proving that love wasn't just about passion. It was about partnership. By the time Marcus graduated from college, a proud moment filled with tears, laughter, and endless hugs, they were more certain than ever that their future lay together. Standing side by side on the stage as Marcus received his diploma, Evelyn felt a surge of pride unlike anything she had experienced before. This young man, who had once been a stranger helping her with a flat tire, had grown into someone extraordinary, and she knew with absolute certainty that their love story was far from over. In the months that followed, they began planning the next steps in their lives. Marcus accepted a job offer at a cutting-edge tech firm, eager to apply his skills to real-world problems. Evelyn, meanwhile, decided to step back slightly from her role as CEO, delegating responsibilities to trusted team members so she could focus more on personal pursuits, including building a life with Marcus. They talked about traveling, starting a family, and continuing their mission to uplift others. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they faced them with confidence, knowing they had each other. Looking back, neither Evelyn nor Marcus could have predicted how their paths would intertwine that fateful afternoon on the country road. What started as a simple act of kindness had transformed into a journey of growth, resilience, and love, a testament to the idea that sometimes the most meaningful connections come when you least expect them. As they stood hand in hand, gazing at the horizon, they knew their story was proof that love knows no boundaries. Not age, not background, not societal expectations. It was a reminder that when two hearts align, anything is possible. As the years unfolded, Marcus and Evelyn's lives became increasingly intertwined, their partnership blossoming into something that defied convention, yet felt utterly natural. With Marcus now working as an engineer at a leading tech firm and Evelyn scaling back her responsibilities at her company, they found themselves navigating a new phase of life, one defined by shared dreams, mutual support, and the quiet joy of building a future together. Yet, despite their successes, both knew that challenges would continue to arise. Love, after all, wasn't just about basking in happiness. It was also about facing difficulties side by side and growing stronger because of them. One of the biggest hurdles came when Marcus decided to pursue a groundbreaking project aimed at revolutionizing renewable energy solutions. The idea had been brewing in his mind for months, inspired by his grandmother Margaret's lifelong commitment to sustainability and community care. He envisioned creating affordable solar-powered devices that could bring electricity to remote areas, places where families still relied on kerosene lamps or lived without access to basic utilities. It was ambitious, risky, and required significant funding, but Marcus believed wholeheartedly in its potential to make a difference. When he first pitched the idea to Evelyn, she listened intently, her eyes lighting up with excitement. "This is incredible, Marcus," she said, leaning forward in her chair. "You're not just thinking about profit, you're thinking about impact. That's what true innovation looks like." Her enthusiasm bolstered his confidence, but he couldn't ignore the practical obstacles ahead. Developing prototypes, conducting field tests, and securing investors would take time, money, and unwavering determination. More than once, Marcus wondered if he was biting off more than he could chew. Evelyn, however, refused to let him entertain such doubts. Drawing from her own experiences as an entrepreneur, she offered guidance every step of the way. She introduced him to venture capitalists who specialized in sustainable technologies, helped refine his business plan, and even invested personally in his project. "Consider this my vote of confidence," she told him with a smile. "But remember, I'm not doing this out of charity. I believe in you, Marcus. You have the vision and the drive to change the world." With Evelyn's backing, Marcus dove headfirst into his work. Late nights became the norm as he collaborated with engineers, designers, and environmental experts to bring his concept to life. There were moments of frustration, times when experiments failed, budgets ran tight, or skeptics dismissed his ideas. But through it all, Evelyn remained his rock. She celebrated his victories, no matter how small, and consoled him during setbacks, reminding him that failure was simply part of the journey. "Every great invention started with 100 mistakes," she would say. "Keep going, Marcus, you're closer than you think." Their teamwork extended beyond professional endeavors. At home, they built a life filled with warmth, laughter, and meaningful traditions. Weekends were reserved for cooking meals together, exploring local farmers' markets, or taking long drives to scenic spots outside the city. Holidays were spent volunteering at shelters or organizing community events, always striving to give back to those less fortunate. Even mundane tasks like grocery shopping or tidying up the house felt special because they did them together. For Evelyn, who had spent much of her adult life prioritizing work over personal connections, these moments were invaluable. They reminded her of the importance of balance, a lesson Marcus had taught her without even realizing it. Yet, as their relationship deepened, external pressures persisted. Critics hadn't stopped questioning the legitimacy of their bond, and some family members on both sides struggled to accept their union. Margaret, though supportive of Marcus's ambitions, initially expressed concerns about the age gap and societal scrutiny. "I just want you to be happy, sweetheart," she said during one heartfelt conversation. "But are you sure this is the right path for you?" Marcus nodded firmly. "I've never been sure of anything in my life," he replied. "Evelyn makes me better, Grandma. She believes in me when I doubt myself, and she pushes me to dream bigger. I can't imagine my life without her." Margaret studied her grandson's face, seeing the sincerity in his eyes. Finally, she sighed and smiled softly. "All right then," she said. "If she makes you this happy, I'll support you. Just promise me you'll always stay true to yourself." Evelyn faced similar challenges within her own circle. Some colleagues questioned whether her involvement with Marcus compromised her professionalism, while others whispered behind closed doors about ulterior motives. But Evelyn handled it all with grace, refusing to let negativity overshadow the love she shared with Marcus. During a particularly trying week when tabloids published speculative articles about their relationship, Evelyn turned to Marcus for solace. "Does any of this bother you?" she asked hesitantly, her voice tinged with worry. Marcus shook his head, pulling her close. "Not if it doesn't bother you," he said. "We know the truth, Evelyn. That's all that matters." His reassurance eased her anxiety, reinforcing their resolve to focus on each other rather than the noise around them. Amidst the chaos, there were moments of pure magic, times when everything seemed to fall perfectly into place. One such moment occurred during a trip to Africa, where Marcus traveled to oversee the implementation of his renewable energy project. Evelyn accompanied him, eager to witness firsthand the impact of his work. Together they visited rural villages, meeting families whose lives were being transformed by access to clean, reliable electricity. Children studied under solar-powered lights, women cooked without fear of toxic fumes, and communities thrived, thanks to newfound opportunities. Watching Marcus interact with the villagers, his passion evident in every word and gesture, Evelyn felt an overwhelming sense of pride. This was why she had fallen in love with him, not just because of who he was, but because of the positive change he brought to the world. The trip also marked a turning point in their personal lives. On their final night in Kenya, Marcus surprised Evelyn with a private dinner under the stars. Surrounded by lanterns and the soft hum of crickets, he knelt before her, holding out a simple yet elegant ring. "Evelyn Harper," he began, his voice steady despite the emotions swirling inside him. "You've been my partner, my mentor, and my best friend. Will you do me the honor of becoming my wife?" Tears streamed down Evelyn's face as she nodded, unable to speak through the lump in her throat. "Yes," she finally managed, pulling him into a tight embrace. In that moment, surrounded by the vast African sky and the echoes of their shared accomplishments, they sealed their commitment to each other, a promise to stand by one another through whatever the future held. Returning home, they began planning their wedding, opting for a small, intimate ceremony that reflected their values and personalities. Friends, family, and colleagues gathered in a picturesque garden, exchanging stories and laughter as they celebrated the union of two remarkable individuals. Margaret gave a heartfelt speech, recounting the day Marcus first told her about Evelyn and how proud she was to call her daughter-in-law. Evelyn's closest friends spoke glowingly of her transformation since meeting Marcus, noting how much happier and more fulfilled she seemed. And Marcus, ever eloquent, thanked everyone for supporting their unconventional love story. Life after marriage brought new adventures and challenges. Marcus's renewable energy initiative gained international recognition, earning awards and partnerships that expanded its reach. Evelyn, inspired by his success, launched her own foundation dedicated to empowering young innovators from underserved backgrounds. Together, they traveled the world, sharing their story and encouraging others to pursue their dreams regardless of circumstances. Their message was simple: love, resilience, and hard work could overcome any obstacle. Despite their achievements, they never lost sight of what truly mattered: their connection. Whether they were debating global issues over breakfast, dancing in the living room to old records, or simply sitting in silence watching the sunset, they cherished the everyday moments that made their relationship unique. They understood that love wasn't about perfection. It was about embracing imperfections and finding beauty in the journey. Years later, as they stood together on a hill overlooking the countryside, hands intertwined, they reflected on how far they had come. From a chance encounter on a dusty road to a lifetime of partnership and purpose, their story was a testament to the power of kindness, trust, and unwavering belief in each other. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson, Evelyn leaned her head against Marcus's shoulder. "Do you remember that day we met?" she asked softly. Marcus chuckled, squeezing her hand. "How could I forget? You were stuck with a flat tire and I was just trying to help." Evelyn smiled, her heart swelling with gratitude. "And look at us now," she murmured. "Who would have thought a simple act of kindness could lead to all of this?" Marcus kissed the top of her head, his voice warm with affection. "I guess sometimes fate has a way of surprising us." As the years rolled on, Marcus and Evelyn's lives became a tapestry of shared triumphs, quiet joys, and enduring love. Their partnership had evolved into something greater than either of them could have imagined, a testament to the idea that true connection transcends age, background, and societal expectations. Yet life never stopped presenting challenges, and they faced each one with the same resilience and unity that had defined their journey from the start. One of the most profound changes came when Margaret passed away peacefully in her sleep. Though she had lived a long and fulfilling life, her absence left a void in Marcus's heart. She had been his anchor, his guiding light, and the person who taught him the value of hard work and compassion. Evelyn stood by him through the grieving process, holding his hand during funeral arrangements and sitting quietly beside him when words failed. "She was so proud of you," Evelyn reminded him one evening as they sifted through old photographs. "Everything you've achieved is because of her love and sacrifice." In honor of Margaret's memory, Marcus expanded his renewable energy project to include initiatives specifically targeting elderly care in underserved communities. He partnered with local organizations to provide solar-powered medical equipment and training programs for caregivers. It was his way of giving back to the woman who had given him everything. Evelyn supported the effort wholeheartedly, helping secure funding and raising awareness through her network. Together, they ensured that Margaret's legacy lived on, not just in their hearts, but in the lives touched by their work. Meanwhile, Evelyn embarked on a new chapter of her own. After decades of leading her company, she decided it was time to step aside completely and let younger voices take the helm. The decision wasn't easy. Her identity had been so closely tied to her role as CEO that stepping down felt like shedding a part of herself. But Marcus encouraged her every step of the way, reminding her that success wasn't measured by titles or accolades. It was about making a difference. "You've already changed the world, Evelyn," he told her one night, as they sat on their porch gazing at the stars. "Now it's your turn to enjoy it." With more free time, Evelyn threw herself into creative pursuits she had neglected during her corporate years. She took up painting, filling canvases with vibrant colors and abstract shapes inspired by her travels with Marcus. She also wrote a memoir detailing her journey, from building her empire to finding love in the most unexpected place. The book became a bestseller, resonating with readers who admired her honesty and vulnerability. Through her writing, she hoped to inspire others to embrace life's uncertainties and trust in the power of human connection. Their home, once filled with a hum of ambition and achievement, now radiated warmth and simplicity. They spent mornings sipping coffee while reading the newspaper, afternoons tending to their garden, and evenings watching movies or playing board games. These routines might have seemed mundane to outsiders, but for Marcus and Evelyn, they were sacred. Every moment together was a reminder of how far they had come and how fortunate they were to share this life. Yet even in their contentment, they never lost sight of their mission to uplift others. Marcus's renewable energy project continued to grow, reaching millions of people across continents. He traveled frequently, often accompanied by Evelyn, who documented their experiences through photography and essays. Together, they visited schools, hospitals, and community centers powered by sustainable energy, witnessing firsthand the transformative impact of their efforts. Children studying under solar lights, farmers irrigating fields with solar-powered pumps, and families cooking meals without fear of pollution. These scenes became a source of immense pride and fulfillment. Their philanthropy extended beyond clean energy. Inspired by Evelyn's foundation, they launched a scholarship program aimed at supporting young entrepreneurs from marginalized backgrounds. Recipients received not only financial aid but also mentorship from industry leaders, including Evelyn herself. Many went on to create innovative solutions addressing pressing global issues, further amplifying the couple's influence. For Marcus and Evelyn, there was no greater reward than seeing others succeed because of opportunities they had helped provide. Despite their accomplishments, they remained humble, always quick to credit those around them for their successes. "We're just two people trying to make a difference," Marcus often said during interviews. But real change happens when everyone works together. Evelyn echoed this sentiment, emphasizing the importance of collaboration and empathy. "Love isn't just about what you feel," she explained during a TED Talk. "It's about what you do with it. If we channel our love into action, we can build a better world." As the years turned into decades, Marcus and Evelyn grew older together, their bond deepening with each passing day. Lines appeared on their faces, and their hair turned gray, but their eyes still sparkled with the same passion and curiosity that had drawn them to each other. They celebrated milestones, birthdays, anniversaries, and achievements with the same enthusiasm as they had in their youth. And though their pace slowed, their zest for life never waned. One particularly poignant moment came on the 50th anniversary of their meeting. Friends, family, and former colleagues gathered at their home for a celebration filled with laughter, music, and heartfelt speeches. Marcus stood up to address the crowd, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. 50 years ago, I stopped to help a stranger with a flat tire," he began, drawing chuckles from the audience. "Little did I know that act of kindness would lead me here, to a lifetime of love, partnership, and purpose. Evelyn, you are my greatest blessing, and I thank God every day for bringing us together." Evelyn wiped away tears as she rose to speak next. "Marcus has taught me more than I ever thought possible," she said, her voice trembling with affection. "He showed me that success isn't about wealth or status. It's about the lives you touch and the love you give. I am who I am today because of him, and I wouldn't trade a single moment of our journey for anything. The evening ended with a slideshow of memories, photos of their early days, milestones achieved, places visited, and people impacted. As the images flickered on the screen, Marcus and Evelyn held hands, marveling at the extraordinary life they had built together. From that first chance encounter to the sprawling legacy they left behind, their story was proof that love could blossom in the unlikeliest of circumstances and endure against all odds. In their later years, they often reflected on the lessons they had learned along the way. Love, they realized, was not static. It was dynamic, evolving with time and experience. It required patience, compromise, and an unwavering commitment to growth. But above all, it demanded courage. The courage to defy convention, embrace vulnerability, and believe in the possibility of something greater. When Marcus eventually passed away, surrounded by loved ones and cherished memories, Evelyn found solace in knowing that their love story would live on. She donated their combined estates to charitable causes, ensuring that their legacy of kindness and innovation continued to inspire future generations. Her final wish was engraved on a plaque placed at the entrance of the foundation they had built together. Love knows no boundaries. Let it guide you to greatness. And so, their tale became legend, a reminder that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can lead to the most profound transformations. A young black boy helping a millionaire woman with a flat tire had sparked a chain reaction of love, resilience, and purpose. It was a story of hope, proving that when hearts align and souls connect, anything is possible.